Wait for liberals to clip certain aspects of this interview, get mad at the journalists, call them, Hasan dick riders, harass them into oblivion, and never show their sheltered audience this aspect of my commentary and what I try to do. Desperately try to get people to be the best version of themselves and desperately try to get people to see the world in a more empathetic lens. Never that. Always just like, oh man, this guy's a terrorist supporter. He loves terrorism. He's getting his chatters to love terrorism. Why? Because he's against the Israeli government doing a genocide. Let's see. Let's see if my prediction on this is correct. Okay. Okay. H3H3 production subreddit. Apparently, Hasan said again on stream that there's no proof Hamas committed. NPR loves terrorism now, I guess. Right on the money, baby. 39 minutes ago. He's in here. The person who posted this is in here, or at least saw the Twitter post, or saw my Instagram post, and instantly ran to the liberal H3H3 subreddit, supposedly progressive H3H3 subreddit. I'll never understand how people can be this influential. Wait, what? I'll never understand how people can just be these influential media personalities and be so ignorant. There's no justice in the world. Please, what will it take for you to shake yourself out of this stupor? These people are knowledgeable media figures. They're not just like random people who are oblivious. They went so far. If you were to listen to the interview, you would recognize that they went so far back that they found like old debates that I had with Destiny at the time. This has become a snark sub. This is what I was saying about Ethan's hypocrisy. Ethan understandably hates snark subs. I have talked about how snark subs are unhealthy and they're bad for the people that, they're bad for the people that entertain the snark subs, and they're certainly bad for the people in the crosshairs, like the content creators in the snark subs. Everybody understands this. Ethan certainly understands this, except he operates a snark subreddit and also a snark podcast at this point. Like, look at this. Any number of different people within the crosshairs. What is this? POV Hasan takes you hostage? What the fuck? What is this? 800 upvotes. Bro really added loner box in the thumbnail after he criticized the video. Hasan talks about Polish people with such disdain. It's bizarre. Noah Samson is pro-genocide. Like, random memes about me. Like, this is insane. How do you not realize this is a snark sub now? You have officially changed your fucking... you have changed your entire community's outlook. You know? So which is it? Is Ethan crashing out and becoming right-wing Zionist? Or is he literally among the top left-leaning online shows like your own story says? That's so funny. No, he is. He's crashing out and becoming a right-wing Zionist and bringing all of you along with it. Like, where are the H3 posts, man? Made my Hasan-loving best friend watch a new H3 with me last night, and she locked in. I guess my question is, if you think personally that snark subreddits and snark podcasts are unhealthy, why the fuck are you operating one against your former podcast co-host? Like, you're bitching about your own fans that disagreed with you and left your community because you banned them because they correctly interpreted all of your arguments that were sneakily and sometimes not so sneakily pro-Israel in the aftermath of October 7. And that bricked your brain so hard that you wanted to fucking sue every random Redditor that has ever criticized you, sue every content creator that's ever happen to fucking criticize you at a time when like the American government is actively bouldering towards fascism, anti-Semitism is at an all-time fucking high, and your crosshairs are locked into people who are personally getting upset at you for operating what previously was a relatively sizable progressive space online and turning that into a faucet of hatred for anyone that has ever said, Ethan, maybe you should stop spending all of your time shitting on pro-Palestinian voices if you truly are pro-Palestine. That is what this entire situation is. This is what the podcast has become. This is what the subreddit has become. I'm hearing more and more unhinged shit from Ethan on a daily fucking basis on my Twitter timeline, where he apparently is calling Jewish Voice for Peace tokens. Every Jewish person that's an anti-Zionist is a token now. Like, this is some real Michael Rappaport shit. It's alarming, to say the least. Yeah, he wants to sue Noah Samson for making an entire video where he correctly points out how many supposedly centrist drama slop tubers or people who masquerade as progressives have done subtle and not so subtle pro-Israel propaganda by not covering the actions of Israel and hyper-focusing exclusively on people who do cover the actions of Israel in Gaza. Yeah, he's going after Matt Lieb. He's going after all these other people. And the people that he goes after, they receive a torrent of hatred, okay? When you go after someone like this, when you go after a content creator, small or large, when you go after them and you actively try to deplatform them, as he has successfully done so, like, their fucking replies are flooded with the most Islamophobic shit. And at first, I remember talking about this with Frogan, right? When I was like, there's no way those are Ethan's fans. There's no way those are Ethan fans who are like saying unhinged Islamophobic shit. I think at this stage, they absolutely are. You have changed the dynamic of your community, and you have changed the overarching politics of your community, and those who remain, who are major fans of you, are also changing alongside the rest of the people that came in afterwards. It's so weird, and everyone can see how fucking weird it is. It's so strange. Like, everyone can see the transparent hypocrisy of constantly complaining about snarks, which there is validity to complain about, while simultaneously operating a fairly successful snark subreddit and a snark podcast. Anyway, let's continue with this.
Hasan's had his own awakenings and political evolutions too. Trans rights is an example.
It's not something that I hide. I used to have transphobic opinions. I mean, this was a decade plus ago, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's more so about like always being charitable and admitting when you're wrong, and maybe developing a better mindset around certain things with more information.
One of the biggest criticisms leveraged at Hasan is not that he's doing irresponsible journalism, sourcing stories as they happen during a stream from online users who are dropping links and rumors into a stew of a live chat log next to his video stream that moves so fast, fellow kids lurkers like myself can barely comprehend it.
And not even that he is, as he says, also making propaganda, often pro-Palestine propaganda, which he admits fully up front. No. The biggest criticism of Hasan from the right is that he's extreme, which is also the criticism from other people on the left, or at least the center of the left, because Hasan is an avowed socialist. Not exactly the messaging a lot of powerful Democrats are going for. And that goes both ways. Hasan's support of the Democrats seems to be somewhere between tenuous and fully in the rearview mirror.
DNC was my turning point.
And I'd like to welcome you all to the Democratic National Convention roll call.
Why? What made you turn in that moment?
I was shocked at how not tapped into the real world I was when I was at the heart of where things are happening. I was genuinely shocked at how out of touch I was with everything else that was going on in the world. Because when you're there, when you're in that bubble, when the DC bubble comes to Chicago, right? You're still in that DC bubble. And I now understand why so many people, so many staffers, so many analysts, so many of these guys that, write these think pieces and whatnot are so unimaginably out of touch with the needs and opinions of regular old, American working class people.
And when you talk to regular working class people who listen to Hasan, like Megan, you do get the sense that he's having a real impact on their opinions and their feelings about the world, whatever their lived experience.
For Megan, that lived experience includes a period of homelessness. After she failed at her second college attempt, feelings of shame kept her from going home.
Despite that home life being one that Megan describes as privileged and supportive. She's back on her feet now. She works as a court reporter, doing transcriptions of court recordings. And in her spare time, she volunteers helping expunge minor marijuana infractions from people's records. But
it's so much closer to all of us than we know. And Hasan does a really good job of helping people to remember that these people are just like them.
The person that you see on the street that has like leathery skin at this point from being under the sun, from sun damage, sun exposure for many, many years, who clearly is not mentally well, right? That is the last tier of homelessness.
Hasan has definitely helped me to feel like that's something that I can share with people, because previously it was like shameful. I was ashamed of that. Now, if I do share that with someone, I will follow it up with the tiers of homelessness and, try to leave people with like a little bit more empathy for people that they see panhandling or whatever.
Empathy and charity. Feisty as he may be on the screen, these are words you hear a lot from Hasan and his fans.
More charitable to those ideas.
You'll never hear that from my fucking naysayers, though. That's why whenever I say I really care about being charitable to every single person, understanding where they're coming from, you'll never, ever in a million years hear that from my haters who will laugh at that. They're like, I've never seen you be charitable. It's like, no, that's the whole point. Trying to be charitable to the best of your ability until the person on the other side of the screen shows you that they do not deserve said charity, that they're here to simply piss you off, to simply fuck your conversation up. That is precisely the reason why I am always charitable to content creators as well. Content creators with massive communities that I know I can speak to directly. When they turn the crosshairs directly on me, and make their fucking entire output how bad I am and the way I see the world and my politics, all of a sudden, you're going to have a shit ton more haters. People that could have just as easily been in support, allies in this struggle. Those who can actively advocate for a better future will then turn all of their attention and priorities to fucking being like, no, this guy is bad. It comes across as though I'm being selfish here and I only care about myself or my own brand or whatever. But like, no, these people have liberals especially, or centrists and people who love drama online have turned me into an avatar for fucking left-wing values. Okay? The problem, this is precisely the reason why I have tried to be as charitable as possible to XUC, Asmongold, H3H3, even fucking Destiny initially. And regardless of how these people treat me in general, I still will demand you do the same, okay? Especially for normies. You cannot help yourself, bro. Lol. I don't know what you mean by that, but when you're having a conversation with a normie, you cannot fucking fly off. You can't just like pop off on them. You can't get ridiculously angry at them. You have to always approach the subject matter from a point of empathy, from a point of understanding like what their background is, what their social conditioning looks like, what their material conditions look like. You have to be normal. If you treat everyone as though they are reactionary fascists across the board, you're not gonna be able to convince anyone. You know? Wasn't the other guy's complaint that you weren't reining in your audience while they accused him of wanting to kill babies? Yes. That is the most hyperbolic approach to that subject from a person who felt wronged at the time. That is like the pivotal reason as to why he's still been doing a year-long deplatforming campaign that has been completely and utterly unsuccessful. In terms of the actual impact of deplatforming, it's been unsuccessful. It has been, however, successful in like convincing his own audience of normies who are not super political into thinking that I'm a fucking, I'm a fucking terrorist or whatever. I'm like the arch villain of American progressives. Having said that, the people that were calling him a Zionist at the time, not baby killer, okay, but a fucking Zionist at the time, were saying that because of his output, because he just kept saying things that were pro-Israel from a liberal Zionist perspective. And of course, a community like this one, or any community that understands the propaganda dynamics, of course they thought that. Of course. And I kept trying to both privately and publicly explain to him, like, Ethan, the reason why people feel this way about you is because they don't know the full, depth of your opinion. Because at the time, I did truly think that he was pro-Palestine. And I kept telling him, like, you can't say that, like, a gay sex worker is going to be thrown off of a building under Hamas leadership for saying that they're pro-Palestine if you don't want people to think you're a Zionist. That is just a pure, insane Zionist propaganda talking point. Like, that's what you hear from the likes of Ben Shapiro or a Jordan Peterson or a Trump, right? Of course, people are going to assume that you are that way. And to be fair to everyone that like clocked him early on, he certainly showcases his attitude a lot more openly now. He mocks your talk to Sam Cedar line now. Lamau, what a freak. Yeah, I know. Like, that was my last message I ever sent to him. The last message I ever sent to him, and he's the one who leaked this to say it was inappropriate because he claimed it was anti-Semitic. I went back and I looked at it recently to see what I had said, because he had texted me on September 29th, and I didn't respond to him because he saw like a clip of me saying, I have no problem with Hezbollah. And he was like, oh, I really find it like ridiculous that you love Hezbollah or something. Like, he said, your support for terror orgs has been upsetting to see, my friend. I see nothing wrong with Hezbollah. Really troubled me, to be honest. I don't expect you to say anything, to be honest, because it's how you feel. And I think it's good that you're being honest, but I wanted to at least voice my concern to you. You don't need to respond if you don't want to, obviously, but I'm not expecting. That's what he said. Right. And I didn't respond to him because, you know why I didn't respond to him at the time? Because I didn't want to fucking talk to him about this issue at a time when I was covering the Israeli invasion of southern Lebanon. Like, that was his hyper focus on that. Okay. And after that, after all of before the context nuke or before all of that, there was a point where I tried desperately, like my last ditch effort, my Hail Mary, where I said, and again, he is the one who has revealed this text message. So I don't have an issue like rereading it, so that people understand. On Thursday, October 24th at 7:22 a.m., after the deplatforming efforts really escalated, before the context nuke, but the deplatforming efforts had really escalated at that time. My last text message to Ethan, who we didn't reply to, was as follows. I don't know what happened over the last couple of months, but I'm trying this as a last resort. I don't think you see me as an honest person at all, but I really think you should talk to Sam Cedar privately. You clearly respect him a lot more than you respect me, and he has lived experience. This isn't about debates or drama or clips out of context. I have always admired and defended your open-mindedness and willingness to change your worldview, so I hope you will do this. In spite of everything that has happened, I hope you're doing fine. I hope your family is well and the crew is good. Also, not that it matters, but it was wild to see you using a clip titled Hasanabi from a unlisted link from a Destiny community account. October 24th, 2024, 7:22 a.m. He never replied to that. Instead, he went on his show, H3H3 Podcast, and turned around and said I was anti-Semitic for suggesting that Ethan Klein talked to Sam Seder, a person he respects, not simply because he's a Jew. That's what Ethan's words were. Oh, you want me to talk to another Jew? No, because he has lived experience that I certainly do not, and because he is, or at least was at the time, a person that he respected. It didn't have to be on camera. I said, just talk to him. And I had also talked to Sam Seder as well, privately about this issue a long time ago. And Sam said he was totally on board with talking to Ethan privately. Now, if you look back at the time, around October, when I texted him that, if you look at the way I was talking about Ethan, both publicly and now, as you've seen privately, versus how Ethan was talking about me publicly, you will see a dramatic difference. I tried to be as kind as I could and as understanding as I could until the very last moment. And all of that kindness, all of that charity, all of that grace was slapped away by a person who was so lost in the sauce that they just could not see the world in any way outside of the horse blinders that he had placed upon himself when it came to this issue. So no matter how much people try to rewrite history on all of the adjacent drama communities, you know the truth, okay? And it's not an accident that this exact same situation has played itself out a million times over with other content creators on silly-ass drama too, even with like XQC and shit. It takes a lot for me to just say, all right, you are never going to be charitable. You are always going to throw me under the bus. You are always going to use me as a vehicle to draw ire and to gain clout off of. And not only that, but also actively undermine this project, actively undermine what I seek to do. What I do requires charitability from the uninitiated. If they are not charitable, if they immediately come in with the attitude that I'm like a bad person, a terrorist, a fake, phony, hypocritical socialist with a metric ton of pre-existing resentment and animosity that people have towards socialism, towards leftist values, towards progressive values, like it's virtually impossible for me to convince people. It's virtually impossible for them to see what I have to say with an open mind. This is precisely the reason why I talk quite a bit about how like the drama slop tubers and other content creators who are apolitical, how they've played a formative role in undermining not just myself, but just like leftist thought in these spaces. And of course, in that process, understandably, a alternative content creators with like alternative visions, right-wing content creators are going to thrive in that environment. If all liberals care about is shitting on fucking content creators to the left of them and leftists in general, then yeah, right-wingers are going to blow the fuck up in the process. It's normal. Especially at a time when right-wing commentary is also popular. It's always been popular online, but it's especially become more popular. That's it. That was simply my point. a more charitable perspective.
It was that charitability.
A lot of charitability.